Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the newly released Transformers Netflix War for Cybertron Trilogy Deluxe Class Impactor. Out of all of the new Wave 2 Netflix Siege repaints, Impactor here was by far the one that I was looking forward to the most, just as I think that he has the most differences in terms of his paint applications, and if you've watched my most recent Transformers Siege Netflix series review, you'll know that Impactor was by far one of the best characters to come out of that entire show. So here we have Impactor fully transformed up in his tank mode. Now there are no mold changes to this figure whatsoever, so unlike Bumblebee and Alita 1, this figure is just a direct repaint to that of one of the previously released Siege Impactors. However, this time in my opinion has been given a much nicer paint scheme. You can see here that we do indeed have a yellow plastic, but this yellow plastic has got this yellow wash over the top to give you the sense that this figure has been perhaps rolling around the war-torn streets of Cybertron and has got muddied or oiled up during battle. You can see here that we do have some really lovely silver gunmetal treads, but all of these have been painted on all sides, which is really cool to see. This is something that we don't get on the original version. The silver sections here at the front have been detailed really nicely and have of course been completely painted, so that's a really nice looking feature. And then we do also have the smaller Gatling guns there sculpted in, and I just think that the overall wash here for the lower section of the tank is really nice. Turning here to the top section, you can see here that we do indeed have the same weapons. So we've got Impactor's blaster, which becomes the main turret for the tank mode, as well as his harpoon weapon, which becomes an almost sensor-like weapon there at the top, with the shoulder cannon becoming another form of artillery for Impactor. And you can see that the figure appears to have perhaps been cast in a purple plastic with a really nice metallic purple applied over the top. So this figure really has been painted very nicely. As we turn around to the back, here we've got the base colour of purple. The gun has been painted, however, the top section here where the purple is does for sure stand out, as when you compare the colour of purple used here for this top gun, it's vastly different from any of the other purple that is used throughout the figure. They have indeed painted the hands this time round instead of casting them in a yellow plastic. I'm not entirely sure for their reasoning behind this, however I can assure you that the painted yellow definitely looks more vibrant and therefore matches the more vibrant appearance of Impactor from the series. I really do like these repaints for the Netflix show. They definitely do look as if though they've jumped straight from the animation, and considering that the animation models are based on the toys, they're almost 100% faithful to what we see on screen. We can see here that similarly to the gun, here we have orange cast plastic, which once again does stand out when compared to the rest of the figure. It's really and truly one of the only pieces that hasn't been painted here for the tank mode apart from this back section, and I do think that the colour they've used for this back section looks nicer than the plastic that they've used here. So perhaps if they could have even have just moulded this in the same colour as this, I think that that probably would have looked slightly better. The figure does roll really nicely as well. If you just flip under to the underside, you can see that he does roll on these two wheels here as well as the two on the back. So he definitely does roll really well. And in terms of a tank mode, I don't believe we ever see Impactor transform in the Netflix series, but this looks awesome. The turret can also rotate the full 360 degrees, so that's really nice to see. And overall, I just think that it's a really cool looking tank. And here for your Deluxe Class Siege Impactor size comparison and just general comparison, here we have the new Netflix version compared next to the version that was released as part of Wave 3 of Siege last year, and you can see the drastic differences in terms of their colour scheme. Now, the majority of the colours are in the same places, however, it's the different types of plastic that they've used, as well as more paint apps that have been applied to the figure, that in my opinion makes the new Netflix version a lot superior over the original version. This one here looks so much more faithful to what we saw on screen. Now, turning to transformation, it is exactly the same to that of the previous release, so of course you're just going to want to remove this harpoon weapon here and set that off to the side. Come to this back section now and just detach these, so just hinge those out, and then this one here you'll just want to detach and hinge out. We can then bring this all the way down and then bring this one all the way down also, and then just separate the legs here. And then what you'll do now is you'll take the foot and just hinge this piece up and then close this. So you can see here this slight groove. This section here will slide into that, so you're just going to want to align that up appropriately, and you can see that it will indeed slide into that. Repeat the same process here for this side, so flip up the toe and then once again align all this up and just fold that back. Coming to this section, disengage all this, and you can indeed snap that in to solidify the torso to the lower region of the figure. We can now turn our attention to this whole arm area. So to do this, I would recommend pulling down where the arms are and the chest piece is, just hinging all of that down, and then here just untabbing these, and then we can remove the larger blaster. And then with these, you're just going to want to hinge those out to the sides all the way, and then come to this side and hinge that one out also. Take this section here, and this is where you're going to want to align everything up, and then this chest piece there will snap nicely into place. Angle the arms down now so that they look in proportion with the rest of the sculpt, and then rotate these here. Fold out our new painted hands. Repeat the same process here. Take the shoulder gun, just flip that over, come to this back section, hinge this up, and then just get the head sculpt out of there. It's in there incredibly snug. So just hinge that up, rotate the head sculpt around, and then just collapse that into place. And here we have the brand new Transformers Siege Netflix Impactor, fully transformed up into his awesome looking robot mode. Now, taking a look here at Impactor in his robot mode, the new paint applications as well as some of the new plastic I think looks truly amazing here for robot mode. This is where you can drastically see the differences between the new version as well as the previously released version. You can see here for the head sculpt that they've used a much more vibrant yellow for the head. The silver paint application is still correct and present, as so are the eyes, and the purple section here at the top looks really awesome. We do also have the shoulder cannon here, and of course this looks a lot better in robot mode than it did in tank mode. Something which I don't particularly like on this release, and I would have wished they would have changed, seeing as they're going for accuracy, specifically Netflix accuracy, would be that this should really be a Decepticon insignia. If you've seen the show, you'll know that there is not once in the show where Impactor has an Autobot insignia, and he is a Decepticon throughout the majority of the show as well. It's only towards the end that we begin to see his redemption arc, so really this should be a Decepticon insignia. It's not a major drawback in my opinion, but if they were going for accuracy, they definitely should have changed that out. You can see here for the shoulder where they've got the darker purple, they have also added some lighter purple highlights as well, which is really awesome. And then there for the forearms, if I just remove the gun, you can see that it's almost got this darker, muddier wash applied over the top, with once again the metallic darker purple and the lighter shade of purple there as well. And the fists have been completely painted in this really vibrant yellow, which I think looks awesome. The same can be said here for the torso, so you can see we've got some nice purple highlights as well as some nice almost dry brushing effect applied there to the chest plate. Here you've got his harpoon weapon, which if you've seen the show you'll know creates for an awesome looking visual when he deploys it and fires it at Optimus Prime. You can see once again some of the nice vent detailing, some of the dry brushing. The fires are just cast out of a grey plastic, however it's got this almost metallic shine to it as well, so I don't think that looks too out of place compared to the rest of the figure. And I think here that the plastic that they've used for the shins of the figure as well as the feet all look really nice, and you can see we've got some nice darker highlights there to give you the illusion that this figure has been damaged in battle. And then as we turn to the side, I think he cleans up really nicely and is of course almost 100% screen accurate to what we see in the show, so no flaws for the sculpt there whatsoever. Really awesome looking release. The head here is on a swivel joint, a very stiff swivel joint, and it is on a slight ball joint, so it can look up slightly as well as down, but you really don't get a great range of motion out of that. The arms can rotate the full 360 as well as hinge out to the sides. We do get full rotation there at the bicep as well as a 90-degree bend there for the elbow. No wrist articulation, however the hands can hinge back and forth in order for you to implement some of the weapons into them. We do get a waist rotation, however it sits a lot higher up than previous figures, so you can see that it sits almost mid-torso, and if you do indeed detach the transformation joint, we do get a fake ab crunch, so that just creates for more variety when you are indeed posing the figure around. However, if you want the figure to be more stable, you can just snap this into place and it locks all that really nice and securely. The legs can kick forwards that far as well as back to about that far. We do have slight ratchet joints out to the sides as well as full 360 rotation here just above the knee, as well as a 90-degree bend there for the knee. And then finally we do get some ankle rocker joints, so this is the foot in its more natural position, and that is as far as the ankle rocker joint will go. So not a great degree of motion, however definitely enough to create for some awesome poses and to make him look fluent whilst posing him. And here, once again, for a Netflix Impactor comparison, here we have the previously released Siege version, and here we have the brand new Netflix version. Upon comparing them, to me, there's really no decision that needs to be taken. This new Netflix version is vastly superior than compared to that of the previous version, of course in its paint applications. The moulding is exactly the same, everything on this figure is exactly the same as the previous release, however this time the paint apps have just been amplified slightly to create for a more animatic feel, and personally, similarly to some of my previous Netflix reviews, I think that the paint applications almost make it look as if though this figure has got this almost cel-shaded appearance, which of course matches the aesthetic that we saw in the show. So definitely this one here looks rather plasticky, and this brand new one I think looks so much more awesome. So that just about wraps up my review for the brand new Transformers Netflix War for Cybertron Deluxe Class Impactor. As you could probably guess from this review, I think that the paint apps applied to this figure drastically increase his visual appeal. I'm pretty sure that we will probably see an even more screen accurately decoed Impactor in the future, probably with the more accurate Decepticon insignia, but in terms of this release, I think that the paint applications look great when compared to the original release, which was a really great figure. It definitely looks as if though this one is more accurate to the show, as the previous one was just just mainly plastic, this one here has a lot of paint applications applied to it. It's even got paint applications applied on top of paint applications. So in all, an awesome looking figure, both in robot mode and tank mode. Transformation is incredibly enjoyable, and if you were a fan of the character of Impactor in the show, and who wasn't, then I'm sure you'll want to add this figure to the collection. So I really do hope that you enjoyed both my review and comparison of the new Netflix Impactor. Please be sure to let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this release, and whether or not you'll be adding him to your collection, or if you'll suffice with your previously released Impactor. And until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.